So we're back up at Lindholme Lakes again for open number 2 of my little campaign leading up to the Commercial National. And this time we're on Willows for the Thursday Open. Now it's actually an ideal situation because the draw is done on the Wednesday to let you know what lakes you're going to be on for the National. And I actually drew a split section between Laurels and Willows. So there's a great chance. I'd obviously practiced on the Sunday for Laurels, and then on the Thursday Open, Willows was in. And actually, there was just the right amount of people for him to do exactly the same pegging as what he was going to do in the National. So we had a perfect replica of what the lake would or could potentially be like on match day. So really happy with that. And I drew peg 37 in the corner, which is a perfect little draw, that is. It's not necessarily a match-winning draw, but it's certainly one where I was going to get a few pegs under a bit of, when there's a bit of tight pegging going on. Anyway, peg 37's in the corner. You've got a long bank to your right. You've got some lovely little reeds, which are actually 16 metres away. But it looked nice. I had a little spare peg-like platform thing to my right, which plumbed up shallow, but it felt full of crap. It was full of roots, or it wasn't roots, I think it was probably just branches. And this is, I made a mistake straight away. I didn't go round there and clear it out. Big mistake that was, in hindsight. I just ran out of time. I didn't get a chance to get around there, and it's slack really. Anyway, so 37's in the corner. Gaz Mumby to my left on, sorry, I was on 37. Gaz Mumby to my left was on 38. Very close pegging. Lee Kerry was just behind me on peg 44, so we'd definitely have a good chat throughout the day. But having Gaz so close to me obviously kept my options quite limited, but I felt like the bulk of the fish would be to my right anyway. Couldn't imagine there'd be that many out in open water. My whole plan was to fish casters out towards like a bit of an angle at 13 metres, well, a bit more, 13 to 14 metres. Hopefully maybe to catch some shallow or some silvers out there. Maggots short, hoping for maybe a few silvers, maybe an odd F1. And then I was going to fish casters up against the reeds with a view maybe to catch shallow, but certainly on the deck. And then I had this sort of a few different options to my right up against this bank. I could go up to that platform where it was a little bit shallower. That lake, especially that peg, is pretty much 3 foot wherever you put your plummet. But there was a little spot there that was a bit shallower. And then a couple of holes a bit closer in as well with some reed cover and stuff. So it was a lovely little peg. I also had all the reeds a bit further out to investigate. So I quickly went, just before the start of the match, I went and got a bomb rod out as well because I thought, do you know what, there's bound to be some fish on a bomb at some point. So yeah, that was the plan. Anyway, I kicked off on maggots short because I thought that was a good little option. I thought I'll just cup in a tiny little nugget of ground bait, a few maggots, loads of good skimmers in that lake. I thought if I can get a few of them, an odd F1 short in the early part of the match, then it wouldn't be a bad thing. 20 minutes went by, didn't even get a sign on my bristle, nothing. I think eventually I caught a little tiny roach, maybe 2, but it was clear that it wasn't a day for that. Where I was, it felt a bit cut off for short fishing. So, sacked that off. Went out onto my long pole, nothing. I think maybe I caught an F1 eventually, underneath my casters on the bottom with maggots on, but certainly not a lot. I think I caught a couple of roach, maybe, a skimmer. It was hard. Lee behind me is catching an odd fish. Gaz is catching literally nothing, like an odd silver. The only one who was catching was Sned opposite me, James Snedker. He was catching opposite me on a bomb. There was like an old aerator that had fallen in on his side of the lake, and he was chucking to that with a little bomb and pellet. And he was getting a few F1s, so I thought, oh, well, there's an option later. But I thought, do you know what, my reed bed's screaming out some action now. So I went on that. I'd been loose feeding casters to it. And to be honest, there was bites on it straight away. I'm just going to take a moment to interrupt the video. A whopping 72% of you guys watching haven't subscribed to my channel yet. Now it's completely free to do so, and I'm one of the very few anglers left on YouTube that does the whole library completely free. There's no membership section, there's no subscription service where you've got to pay for it or anything like that. All my content is totally free. So all I ask is that you give my channel a subscribe. It's completely free to do so, and it ensures that you never miss another video, and it ensures that more people get to see my videos in the long run too. So I hope you continue enjoying this video, but do me a favour, press that subscribe button. So all I was doing was cad potting a few casters, double maggot, nice light float, a 4x10 Cypri, and I was using white zip, and it was really nice. I was just catching the fish by them reeds. They were swimming out nice and comfy. It was great. I was catching, and I thought, do you know what, this is fine. I can tick over all day doing this. But as is often the case with those reedy swims, once you've caught a few, their behaviour changes, and whereas every F1 I was catching in the early going was just gliding out into the lake. After a little while, it weren't doing that anymore. Everyone I was hooking was going straight through the middle of them reeds. And it became a bit of a nightmare, I won't lie. I was fishing 012 hook length, white zip, and I soon had to step it up. I tried 014, I tried 016, I went to green zip, which is 14 to 16, so a significant jump up on elastic. I tightened it up in my beads, didn't matter. Everything I was hooking was going through the reeds. It became really frustrating because it was the only part of my peg that could get any sort of consistent bites, and even that was slowing. Anyway, so I plumbed around the reeds, tried to find a new spot that was a bit more hassle-free, and to be honest, I couldn't find anything. So I kind of put up with it for a bit and put my blinkers on and just caught them, but I couldn't get a bite after a while. I must have pushed the fish away from me. There was this grebe that was going up and down the reed beds. It was so frustrating. I thought there were carp in the reeds, but they weren't in hindsight. It was this grebe that was working up and down, boiling in the reeds and stuff. And whether he just pushed out the F1s, I'm not sure. But I barely caught an F1 after that little flurry. It was pretty much all carp after that. And I'm convinced that whatever F1s were in there, it just pushed out. It's often the case. Even Sned stopped catching them, really. Gaz not caught any. And then there was this gap to my left. It would have been opposite peg 39. It was on that bowl of willows. There's an area where no one can really get to. Certainly on that pegging, it's like Bermuda Triangle. And these F1s just went and sat in it. Anyway, I digress. Anyway, I thought, you know, it's worth chucking the bomb. And having learnt what I learned the time before, I hadn't actually fed anything on the bomb. So I just chucked it out up against, just in open water. I never even went near the reeds at this point. Chucked it out, and round it's gone with a proper fish. Quite a lot over there, Anyway, I chucked it out again, nothing, and I chucked it out a couple more times, and no more bites. But it just showed me that the fish, again, weren't coming to any bait, really. They were just there. I've pinged a few pellets out there, but again, I decided to make myself a little bit of a spot out there where I could ping some pellets and leave another area a bit quieter. And everything I caught on the bomb after that was in the quiet zone. So that was another lesson, again, that carried over from the weekend on Laurels. The reeds again had failed, just there was just nothing in there. I just couldn't get bites at this point. It sounds bizarre. I just couldn't get any bites on it. It was just gone. And then the open water line, I could catch an odd fish on it, but it was really hard work. I'd sit there for ages. I went and put a lighter elastic on. I got up off my box and put yellow zip on because I was catching an odd skimmer on it, odd silver, like roach and stuff, odd F1. And I felt the lighter elastic was better because it's so shallow. Even like orange zip, which isn't heavy by any means, but even orange zip, like the fish were coming to the surface. Whereas the yellow one was keeping them down. So that worked nice. And it was just a case of waiting for that margin. I decided to sack the reeds off, go to my right hand side where that platform was, but a little bit off it, where I felt like the bottom was a bit cleaner. The depth was still like 3 foot, so I hadn't gone into the shallower water because I just felt so much rubbish on the bottom. 3 foot. Anyway, I fed some casters there, and I went in. I caught a carp straight away. Over there, he's had it on for about half hour. Bit of a kerfuffle, by the looks of it. Hey? I've never done it before. There's the right lumps in here though, isn't there? Like that one that we're jumping out in. That was jumping out. This one ain't small. And again, back to nothing. I actually thought I'd catch like odd chub, odd silver and that down there, but it wasn't. And I think there was some carp down there. Well, there definitely was, and they were obviously upsetting the silvers, and I'd probably just not got my feeding right for them, or fished in the right spot quite for them. Caught a few more on the bomb, again just in that little quiet zone, just chucking up against the reeds, or just off the reeds. There was little areas where there was obviously some fish, get an odd little liner, and I actually had a couple, I think I caught 4 in pretty much 4 casts on the bomb. Decent fish as well. Again, all carp though. Could barely catch an F1 anywhere in my peg. Just as on Laurels, that bomb line just died. It faded away. I just felt like it was almost like winter style fishing, where we were chucking to shoals of fish, and you'd get a little bit of action before they moved on. And I feel like that's what happened here. Either the carp went back into the reeds, or they pushed over and may have gone back to Sned. Maybe he pushed them to me in the first place. Maybe they went to my left because that was a quiet zone. There was no one chucking a bomb out into the open water there. So maybe they went out there. I'm not sure, but they just disappeared. All my liners and everything stopped. So I concentrated on the right hand margin for like the last hour at this point. And I decided to start putting in a little bit of ground bait, not a lot, and switched it to maggots. And I hooked a carp, got that out, lost another one that was massive. It jumped out and everything. I was foul hooked it, but it jumped out. I had a mad crash. It was massive. Double figure fish. Lost that. Lost another one that went straight through the reeds. It was just a messy day. The whole day was messy. I was losing fish in the reeds, foul looking fish. It was just a messy day. I didn't get it right at all. And I caught one more that was in the wing. I got it out, and I caught another one right at the depth that was in the mouth. So ended up an okay session. I think I had £68, and I think Sned actually won the section with £69. So a bit frustrating. I should have had that because I had the fish on the. I certainly had the action to catch that. But to be fair, from me right the way around to the end peg, the best weight after that was like £40. So it was hard. It was a hard day. But I'd been on a peg that was, it would have been the perfect draw on the Commercial National, put it that way. I don't think there was any way you wouldn't have won your section on that peg. And it did comfortably win the section come National Day. So in hindsight, I'd done all right, but it was a messy old performance and one that I've got to learn a lot from. The opens at Lindholme are actually a bit of a rush. To get ready for. There's a lot of stuff to set up at Lindholme. You've got rods to set up, you've got shallow rigs to get out, you've got deck rigs to prepare. Obviously I like to film my matches, so I've got to get my camera ready. And I know it's only, you might think, oh, you just get a camera out, but it's not as simple as that. You've got to make sure the memory card's ready, the battery's ready. I set up a power bank and stuff. So it actually doesn't leave me much time to set up properly. It's definitely, this is sacrifice. It's a sacrifice I like doing, but it is a sacrifice nonetheless. It's another 10 minutes spent setting up, and throughout the match I'm moving my camera around and stuff, so it's a consideration. And it was an oversight of me not clearing that platform out. I should have gone round there and cleared out that little spot there. I'd have definitely caught some carp up against that platform where it was 2 foot instead of 3. Terrible decision by me, and I'm sure if I'd have just potted ground bait up against that platform, I'd have probably caught £70, £80, £90 maybe. And won myself some money. So that was a massive mistake on my part. The wind was in my face, but I also think a little waggler would have been good. There were times when the wind dropped and I could have just chucked a waggler up them reeds, and I'm sure I would have caught a few more carp on that. So there's 2 things there, but again I was limited by time. But a waggler, clearing out that margin with the obvious mistakes I made. Don't think I did anything wrong on the short pole, there just wasn't any fish there. And again, out in open water, I felt like that was okay, but I just don't think there was a lot of fish there. The F1s just weren't in that corner for whatever reason. So, tough day, but enough bites to sort of feel like I came away with a good weight, but I felt like my performance wasn't great, and there was definitely more to be caught with a few better decisions and a bit better swim preparation. Unfortunately, gardening's a part of the game now, isn't it? And over winter, we've had so much wind that there's so much crap in the lakes at Lindholme at the minute with branches and stuff, that swim was unfortunately festooned with branches. But there you go. Another good match. Really enjoyed it. And so there we go. Really enjoyable match. Frustrating. I like it when it's tough like that though. But it's just frustrating when you make a few cock-ups along the way. But we're getting better, we're getting sharper as every match goes. We're remembering how to do it, but I must admit I'm ready for some warm weather now because this cold weather's pissing me off, to be honest with you. The fish don't know whether they're coming or going. So thanks everyone for watching. Don't forget to like and subscribe, and we'll see you again on the next video.